the radical, fundamental principles of freedom, rational self-interest, and individual rights. This is the Yaron Brook Show.
All right, everybody, welcome to Yaron Brook Show on this Monday, June 16th. I hope everybody is doing well and having a good beginning of your week. Had a good weekend, hopefully. All right, let's see. We were supposed to have an interview with Scott Lincecum tonight, but given what's going on in Iran and everything else that's going on, in my need to prep for this Jordan Peterson class that I'm doing starting on Thursday in Arizona, I postponed that. Scott will still join us, but he'll join us in July. So we will pick it up. We'll pick it up in July. All right. Let's just jump right in. So I guess the breaking news right now is this tweet from Donald Trump just a few minutes ago. Iran should have signed the deal I told them to sign. What a shame and waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. All caps, that sentence. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. All right, so I think this suggests, I don't think this is going out too much of a limb. I think this suggests that the United States will enter this war, whether tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I don't know. They have much to do, but certainly their bunker-busting bombs would be a welcome sight in Fordor in Fordor, and I think you can expect to see that. The USS Nimitz, the aircraft carrier, is on its way to the Middle East. It is I guess earlier today it went through the Singapore Straits, so it's on the way. I'm not sure when exactly it would arrive. Maybe tomorrow, maybe late tomorrow. It'll join the USS Carl Vinson. That'll make 2 aircraft carriers in the region. In Diego Garcia, which is in the Indian Ocean, the United States has several B-2s, and I'm sure a whole stockpile of the big bunker busting bomb, the 35,000-pound bomb. Let's see. They've also the United States has also evacuated completely, and the Brits have too, their air base in Qatar. Qatar is within striking distance of Iran, so all the planes that were there, I think there were B-52s. I think there were a lot of fighter jets there. They've all been evacuated to other areas. Also, last night there was this massive move of airplanes, primarily tankers. These are refueling airplanes. They can refuel planes in the air. From the United States to Europe, and a complete reorientation of restructuring of military assets from the United States to Europe. It was a huge scale. You can see, people who follow these things on radar. There were like 30 area fueling tankers with the U.S. Air Force moved from the U.S. to European air bases. And I think this, according to the Defense Department, this was to allow President Trump options in handling the escalating war between Israel and Iran. Basically, what this allows them to do is to launch F-35s or F-16s or whatever they want to launch. I mean, you don't need F-35s right now. You don't need to be stealth in Iran right now because Iran has no air defense systems. But it allows them to launch from anywhere in Europe or in the Middle East and get refueled on the way by 30 aerial refueling tickets. By the way, it turns out that Israel has refitted jingered the fuel tanks on the F-35s. So the F-35s, have actually increased range of flight by something like 2x. So they can actually fly to Iran and back, which as far as I know, no F-35 in the American Air Force can do that. But the Israelis, working with the manufacturer, managed to do that while keeping the airplane stealth, which is the big thing. You can put external fuel tanks on the airplane, but then it loses its stealthiness. This remained stealth. Now, again, nobody needs to be stealth right now in Iran. They just have no air defense system, so you can do whatever you want. So, there's a chance that it will happen tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. Certainly, all the warning signs are there. Now, this could be just putting more pressure on the Ayatollah to basically surrender. All day today, all day yesterday and today, the Iranians have been calling up their contacts. I mean, they've been calling up their enemies in Saudi Arabia, their friends in Qatar, people in Oman, begging them to call Trump and to cut a deal and make a deal, and they're willing to compromise and they're willing to be flexible. And Iran is under unbelievable pressure. The military is being devastated. Israeli planes are flying all over the country, without any worry. Stealth, not stealth, doesn't matter. And the Mossad is active in quite a few areas in Iran. The regime is afraid. The regime is afraid of collapse, and they'd like to cut a deal. The problem is that nobody should give this regime a lifeline. I mean, there should be no lifeline given to them. I don't think the goal should be the destruction of the atomic program anymore. I think the goal has to be regime change. And that is going to require continued pressure on the Ayatollah. Now, Trump is saying evacuate Tehran. I have no idea why he's saying that. Other than maybe they want to go and use one of those big bunker-busting bombs on the bunker that Khamenei is in, the supreme leader is in. Although earlier today, all the reports were that Trump had basically vetoed killing Khamenei. So I don't know. Hard to tell exactly what Trump means. I don't know that he knows what he means. I don't know that he knows where Tehran is. So it's going to be interesting to see if he comes in here. I think this is really safe for him to do. He's already. We'll talk about this in a minute. He's already being lambasted by the anti-war crowd within MAGA. So they're already anti-Trump, you can't lose at this point, right? Because I mean, it's over. Israel's won this war. I know there's still people online who don't want to recognize that, but Israel's won this war. Trump can come in, put the finishing touches on it, and take 100% credit for it. And I understand that people like Ben Shapiro and I don't know if Dave Rubin, but Ben Shapiro giving him full credit already for the whole thing. It's all to his credit. I give him credit for not stopping Netanyahu. I think he could have, and he did not stop Netanyahu. But the credit here goes to Netanyahu, and it goes to the Israeli military and the brilliance of the intelligence and the plan and everything else. So Trump has nothing to lose, or almost nothing to lose, by entering the war at this point. And you might expect it. He said something big will happen when he leaves the G7. I don't know if tomorrow he leaves the G7. I'm not sure exactly what the timing is. I should have probably researched that before the show. But it is out. Now, we will see. I mean, it would be nice. I mean, I have to say, I'm a little, here's just me, right? I'm a little, I'm happy if the U.S. comes in, but I'd rather they not. Really? I don't think Israel should share the credit. This is going to be if the regime is changed, this will be the most important geopolitical event since the fall of the Berlin Wall. I'll say this again. This will be the most important geopolitical event since the fall of the Berlin Wall. And Israel deserves the credit. And just the fact that it doesn't have this big bomb and it doesn't have a plane to carry it, it should get the full credit for this. And I think that with Trump coming in, he will suck up the air out of it and try to take all the credit himself. So I'm kind of, I wish he wouldn't. I wish he wouldn't. And I also hate the idea that the anti-Israel crowd will all go, yeah, Israel can't do anything without American help. It can't survive without American help. It can't win a war without American help. It just would be cool if Israel just finished this off. And of course, I think they can. Even the big bunker in Fordo, I think Israel has a plan. They would rather the U.S. do it. It's cheaper, quicker, far less risky. But I think Israel has a plan on actually to actually do it. Yeah. So it's let the Iranians have a regime change and destroy their nuclear facilities, and that's it. Amazing. So the president of Iran is on television right now saying this. I mean, no change in tone in the Iranian regime. This is the president of Iran, not the supreme leader, the president. Why are we attacking each other's lands? Let them live in their own land and let us live in our own land. I take that as an implicit recognition of the state of Israel by the Iranians, first time in since 1979 that an Iranian president or supreme leader has recognized the existence of the state of Israel. 3 days of war, 3 days of war, Israel style, and the Iranians are begging for a ceasefire and basically recognizing Israel's sovereignty. I mean, Israel's won this in every direction, every which way you can imagine. This is again, one of the great military victories. It will be studied in many war colleges. And if this regime falls in Iran, I'll say it again, biggest geopolitical event since the fall of the Berlin Wall. It looks like Israel is really leveling the Nanats nuclear facility in central Iran. They bombed it the first day. They bombed it the second day. They're bombing it tonight. Again, these are bunkers deep underground, but they're pounding it and pounding it and pounding it. And there were rumors earlier that it already had imploded inside, but obviously it hadn't yet, not to Israel's satisfaction. So they will pound it until it's gone, until it does not exist. And those centrifuges deep down there will stop existing. They also went after today one of the nuclear facilities in Isfahan. Really, the only one that they haven't done much with is the Fordo. And look, maybe there's a deal where they leave that as a cherry on top for Trump to take, so he can take credit for some of this. Let's see. Everybody's reposting this tweet by Trump, including Marco Rubio. Other administration officials and accounts are reposting the statement. And again, the statement calls for the evacuation of the Iranian capital of Tehran. I have no idea what that is suggestive of. I have no idea what that means and what's he going to bomb there that Israel hasn't yet bombed. Again, and other than the bunker potentially of the supreme leader, who everybody says rumors are coming out of Iran is he's quite old. Rumors are that he has lost it. That is, he's bewildered. He doesn't know what's going on. All the people around him have changed because they're all dead. The people who used to be around him are all dead. Military guys, and he's confused and bewildered and doesn't know what's going on. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Anyway, so I don't know if that's the goal. Right now, I mean, reports are there heavy explosions and anti-defense activity all over the Iranian capital of Tehran. Israel's been bombing there all day. I don't know if you saw this amazing, amazing video. So Israel basically, like they did in Gaza and like they did in Beirut, they basically let the Iranians know that this one neighborhood should be evacuated, that everybody should leave this one neighborhood. And it was the neighborhood where the Iranian state-owned TV station is, where they do all the propaganda, all the shows from there. And then they bombed it, and they bombed it in the middle of a show. And this woman was talking about, you know, God is with the Iranians or whatever, Allah is right there. And then you literally see, you know, you hear an explosion, you see stuff falling from the ceiling, you see, you know, dust everywhere, and she runs off screen, and dust covers the screen, and then, you know, it goes fuzzy. Now, they did start up the television. My guess is they have a bunker underneath where they are continuing to broadcast from. But it was a clear, imminent, real life, you know, in the moment, illustration to the Iranian people of what exactly was going on around them. So we will see. Look, you want the Israeli television. I mean, I've been listening. You know, my wife is watching TV 12, Israeli television, and I find they're such defeatists. They're so, I don't know, they're so terrible. It's like, if we don't bomb Fordo, have we lost the war because that was the goal, and we haven't achieved the goal? And why are we bombing TV stations? And we can't do regime change. Regime change wouldn't happen. There's no I mean, really, people. I mean, there are plenty of opposition leaders in Iran. Yes, there's nobody prominent in Iran to lead a movement, but there are plenty of figures who could step in. You know, from moderate mullahs who could be transition figures and who could rally, I guess, some unify the country and then transition out. But there is no right now yet. But it's only 3 days, and the regime is already crumbling. And 3 days, and instead of, you know, Israeli media being supportive and encouraging, they're complaining about Israelis stuck in Cyprus and they can't get home. They'll wait. I know they're eager to come home. You know, it's amazing, right? 200,000 Israelis stuck in Cyprus and Athens, eager to get home so they can have bombs falling on them. But, you know, Israelis are very patriotic and they want to be home and they want to fight. They're both supposedly taking some Israelis from Cyprus into Israel. So, you know, we will see. What is this? I don't know. Here's another report. A White House official told CNN the U.S. President Trump's post on Truth Social earlier telling Iranians to immediately evacuate Tehran reflected the urgency of the need for Iran to come to the negotiating table with Vice President J.D. Vance, Chairman of Joint Chief of Staff, and other top aides seen gathering earlier today at the White House. So, you know, they're still trying to spin this as pressure to come to the negotiating table rather than imminent military attack. It doesn't matter. I mean, my view, it doesn't matter one way or the other because, I mean, I don't want them negotiating. That it would be the worst possible outcome is a negotiated deal that saves this. I mean, and this is why Israel should be all in right now on depleting and destroying this, you know, this regime. You know, a deal would destroy Fordo. They'll get rid of those centrifuges. They'll do that. The deal will not replace the regime. Israel should focus right now on regime change, in my view. Focus right now on regime change. You can get the nuclear stuff later. They obviously don't have a bomb. They're not moments from a bomb. they can't move anywhere without Israel knowing it and attacking them. Just focus on regime change. And that means taking out their media, disrupting life, taking out more of the economic assets. Note, again, that Israel has not touched the oil depots. And again, I think this has to be Trump's request. I don't think Israel cares. Maybe Trump and maybe the Chinese called up Israel and made a request. Not a threat. I don't think the Chinese are going to threaten Israel, but a request for not bombing the oil depot because it's an important source of oil for them. I don't know, but they haven't bombed it, right? They haven't bombed the power plants. There's still electricity in Tehran, right? There's still lights at night. What's up with that? Why don't they take out the power supply? So those are the kind of things that they need to do to degrade life to the point where people rise up against the regime. That I think is what they what they need. In terms of Fordo hasn't been bombed. They bombed in its vicinity. I saw somebody on the Free Press earlier mention what I said on the show a while back, and that is, if Israel wants to get rid of Fordo, they're probably going to have to put boots on the ground with all the risk and all the difficulty, and that's what they're trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid having to bring troops in, which is far away and difficult and all of that and very risky. But in the meantime, they're softening it up in order to make that possible if the United States doesn't come in and destroy it, or if the regime doesn't collapse and the new people in Tehran agree to destroy their own nuclear facility. So we will see. All right, what else? We did that. See if there's anything new. I mean, important to note, and I think a real disappointment. A real disappointment for the Iranians. A real relief for all of us. Is the fact that tonight the missile attacks from Iran have been, 10 missiles, 3 missiles. Under 10, every one of them, which means Israel's basically taken out their launchers. It's taken out their missiles. They just don't have the capacity to fight back. If Israel can hold on for another day or two, maybe they could basically eliminate the threat completely. As it is, if they said 10 or 3, Israel can take them down. That is not a problem for the Israeli air defense shield. It's when it's 100 coming at it, or when several dozens are coming at it, it is a problem. There's no question there's a plan to take out the nuclear facility in Fordo, the one that hasn't been attacked yet. They're waiting to see if America will join, because there's no point engaging in that plan. It's a risky plan. And I have no intelligence. This is just me speculating. They're gonna hold on till the last moment because they don't want to risk it. But there's a plan. They wouldn't have engaged in all of this without a plan. I think most of their plans, depended on, relied on, or not relied or dependent, but assumed that Trump would join. We will see. Let's see. According to what I'm reading now, Iran's used 20% of their ballistic missiles, but of course, many of them have been destroyed. Maybe 5% of the total launched hit Israeli targets. Meanwhile, Israelis blown up much of Tehran's military leadership and infrastructure. They just don't have, the regime is finished unless they negotiate. And this is why I think negotiation right now is the worst thing possible. It's worse than the U.S. entering. It's worse than just leaving Israel alone. More confirmation that Israel is really going after the Natanz nuclear facility after, again, they went after it both days. They weakened it. They thought it would maybe it imploded. They're giving it the full final kind of push, and to destroy it fully. We will see. There's no question who's winning and how much they won. All right, let's see. What else is here? All right, we'll keep in touch. So yeah, the barrage of missiles today towards Israel was pathetic from the Iranian perspective, but not surprising. Again, Iran's stores are being depleted. More importantly, maybe its launches are being depleted. All of its fixed launches are being destroyed. It's got mobile launches, and even though I saw all day they were showing videos of Israeli planes just, playing video games, finding the launches and shooting them and destroying them. And Israel's using planes. Maybe it's using drones. I don't know, but it has free reign in the sky. And if you look. I don't care what they say about drones or the new style warfare that everybody's learning from Ukraine and Russia. The reality is that if you achieve unequivocal air superiority, the likelihood of losing is very small because you can do so much with an airplane. Drones are deadly, but the only reason the Ukraine-Russia war is a drone war is because neither one has achieved their superiority. Neither one, and that's shocking, because you would have thought, particularly at the beginning of the war, that Russia would have achieved it. They would have knocked out all the Ukrainian air defense systems. Ukraine had very few planes, mostly old Russian planes. They could have killed those, and Russia, if Russia gained air superiority over Ukraine, I mean, the story today in Ukraine would be completely different. There might be still a guerrilla war, but Russia would have won the territorial war. It's their lack of air dominance. Israel has air dominance, so it's flying over. It doesn't have to do what the Russians are doing, which is just terrorize the civilian population. It is just pinpointing all regime assets, destroying them one by one, systematically. I had a list here of what they did, and this is old because it's from the beginning of the day. This is actually from yesterday, not even today, right? They destroyed the Ministry of Interior, the Revolutionary Guard Joint Headquarters, one of the Parliament buildings, Counter-Espionage and Internal Security Organization building, Ministry of Intelligence, Judicial building in the Army Air Force headquarters, Khomeini's house in Jamaran. Khomeini's house was nearly hit. It was very close to. They targeted something near Khomeini's house. The Samat organization, which is industry and mines, they hit an important headquarters of the Revolutionary Guard that hosted the Hezbollah leaders, the Atomic Energy Organization, the Great Tehran Police Force Command, including killing the top policeman in Tehran, which should have been a signal to the citizens, the residents of Tehran, to go out into the streets in revolution, but still hasn't happened. The Revolutionary Guard Cyber Center, the barracks of the Ministry of Defense, and that was just in Tehran, and just yesterday. Since then, they've hit multiple other targets all over Iran, and basically, and they hit the TV station today, but that's only one target in Tehran. They were hitting multiple targets all day. I just haven't seen a list that anybody's published of what those targets were. So yeah, as I said the other day, a masterclass, brilliance, and the consequence of this should be that the regime falls. So it looks like Tucker Carlson got to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not happy with Tucker. He made a comment at the G7 about Tucker Carlson saying something like, America first, wouldn't get involved in this, and he wouldn't be supporting Israel. Tucker Carlson's gone completely nuts. I mean, I've been saying that for a long time. Anyway, Trump just tweeted like 12 minutes ago, Someone please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that, quote, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. All right. I mean, I didn't think that me and Trump would share a common point of view about Tucker Carlson, but there you go. Life is full of surprises. Tucker is now kooky. He was on with Steve Bannon earlier. Here it is. Tucker Carlson says, the reason I'm speaking out is because if we get dragged into this, we would be witnessing the end of the American empire. It could effectively end Trump's presidency. So he's doing this to protect Trump. I mean, he's a complete kook. Kooky is right. Right on, Trump. Yeah, kooky is right. He's a complete nutcase. He's lost it. He has for quite a while now. Lost all credibility and lost any semblance of sanity. I think the guy's not sane. He is crazy. So people are going after him. A lot of people are going after him. But look, a lot of the MAGA right online is anti-Trump on this. Is very anti-Trump. Take of course our favorite Candace Owen. Somebody published a picture of somebody filming out of a window in Tehran above the highway. And the note says, with a note, right? So it's a picture with a note right in front. And the note says, Israel, please target Ali Khamenei and Mojtaba Khamenei, that's his son, and the Islamic Republic's IRIB, that is the Supreme Council. The state broadcaster, target the state broadcaster. So this came out this morning before Israel bombed the state broadcaster. And then Candace Owen comes out and says, the level of propaganda coming out of Israel is beyond parody. They're reporting that an Iranian wrote this letter begging them to bomb the news station. Curiously, the Iranian chose to write the letter in perfect English, not Farsi, Arabic, or Hebrew, but in English. I mean, this woman is nuts, right? So an Iranian writes this. Just want to address this series of tweets by Candace Owen. I love it when people take us seriously. I don't know how you can. Most Iranians are against the regime, but also don't want to be bombed and are frightened. There are Iranians who welcome the Israeli military operation. Many young Iranians in urban areas have English proficiency. They're not going to be proficient in Hebrew or Arabic. Hello. This is how it is in many countries in the world, Candace, since English is so widely spoken. Many more Iranians are proficient in English than in Arabic. And he says, most of my family in Iran under the age of 50 speak English. And a bunch of people came out and put Candace in her place. Not that it matters because Candace is long gone. And finally, I mean, this has been making the rounds. This is the big one. My favorite libertarian. My favorite libertarian out there, Dave Smith, has been making the rounds and declaring that he is now formally and publicly apologizing to all of us, as if we care, for voting for Trump. That he is now anti-Trump, and Trump is horrible, and this is terrible. Notice that I'll get to the notice in a minute. He condemns Trump, and he resents Trump, and he regrets ever supporting him and encouraging people to support him. And it's been quite entertaining to see everybody respond to this and react to everything. What is that? Somebody sent me this a text. Let's let's see. Yeah, so everybody's attacking Dave. Poor Dave. Feel sorry for Dave. Dave's like, I mean, he has gotten so much attention for being the kooky libertarian, the nut libertarian who doesn't know what he's talking about and who hates Israel and Ukraine, hates Israel and, just viscerally. And this is the thing about, you can tell about libertarians. And I've noticed this, with these anarchist libertarians. Economic liberty, it's okay. They're for it. Free speech, mostly they're okay with free speech. Is mostly for. Immigration, no, not so much. Not so much. They don't really like immigration. But the one thing they're kind of really, really, really passionate about, the one thing they'll go on any show, they'll go on any medium, they'll go everywhere to talk about, is their hatred of Israel, is how evil Israel is and how awful Israel is and how genocidal Israel is and awful, and how they hate America, and how any attempt of America to defend itself, any attempt of America to go out there, let's say after 9/11, and do something in defense of itself, they hate. Not that they're proposing something different to do, but no, America should apologize to the world. It was all America's fault. I mean, the one thing that these libertarians get most passionate about, the thing that really riles them up, is the hatred of America and the hatred of Israel and the hatred of the left. They don't, I mean, I guess I said they're kind of for free markets generally, but you don't see them passionate about that. For them, Dan is right. For them, the state is the devil, but not if it's a failed state. Like failed states are okay. The Soviet Union was okay for Rothbard. Northern Vietnam was okay for Rothbard. It was the will of the people. Iran is okay. Russia, Putin's Russia is okay, because they're failed states, so it's easy to criticize them. So yeah, the contrast with libertarianism, with their anarchy, seems like you'd prefer anarchy to living under Stalin. I'm actually not sure about that, but okay. But whenever there is a state that's actually pretty good, protects some of our rights at least, leaves us mostly free, and is flourishing as a consequence. People's wealth is going up and success is going up and people are generally happy and they're doing well. Yeah, Cook reminds me, Venezuela is okay for Ron Paul. Ron Paul, huge defender of Venezuela. What he hates is when America tries to, God forbid, intervene. American intervention in Venezuela, that is evil. Because it's America that's the evil one. It's Israel that's the evil one. It's Ukraine and Western Europe, Europe generally are the evil ones. And they are quite happy with Russia and with Iran and again with the old Soviet Union and North Korea. So, just saying Israel didn't defending itself, it attacked another nation. Absolutely it attacked another nation. Absolutely it attacked another nation. Should have done it 20 years ago. Should have done it a long time ago. Another nation that posed an existential threat to it. Another nation that funded every single terrorist organization that has attacked Israel was funded by Iran. If that is not an act of war, funding the terrorists who kill your people, if that is not an act of war, I mean, absolutely Israel attacked Iran, because Iran attacked Israel and has been attacking Israel for at least 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades. Constantly, systematically, without stop and without hiding it. Not only called for the destruction of Israel, but funded the destruction of Israel. Created Hezbollah, funded Hezbollah, created Hamas. Funded Hamas. Every one of those terrorist attacks on Israel, including October 7th, made possible by Iran. And again, this is not speculation. This is not hiding. This is absolutely reality. So, is this a war that Israel initiated? Of course not. This is a war of self-defense that Iran initiated decades ago, and that Israel should have addressed decades ago. Better late than never. And not to mention, a country dedicated to your destruction, building a nuclear weapon. Yeah, I mean, Israel, it's only an act of self-defense once the nuke goes off in Tel Aviv, launched, and you have to be able to prove that it was launched by the Iranians. Only then can you respond. That's self-defense. That is absurd. That is a suicidal morality of altruism. And luckily, when it comes to its own defense, Israel does not abide by suicide. So it didn't wait until the bomb actually exploded in Israel. It attacked before that was possible. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think it really does look like the U.S. is going to strike. Trump is departing a day early from the G7 summit in Canada. Now, he wasn't that excited about being there, and all he did, he kind of insulted the people who were there. But following a dinner tonight, alongside the other heads of state, he will return to Washington, D.C. in order to, quote, attend to many important matters regarding the Middle East. So he is heading back. He posts again. He's on a roll right now in terms of posting. It's like he likes repeating himself. America first means many great things, including the fact that, all caps, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Make America great again. You see, he promised this in the campaign, so he's going to follow through. He didn't follow through initiating, because he wouldn't do that. But now that it's safe, now that Israel's won it, now that they're handing it to him on a silver platter, why not? Why not? So those B-52s from, Garcia, what do you call that Air Force base in the Indian Ocean, something Garcia. I wouldn't be surprised if tonight is getting close to over in Tehran. What is it? Maybe tomorrow? Diego Garcia. Thank you. Diego Garcia Air Force Base. B-52s are probably going to take off. Now, maybe there's something about negotiation, maybe. But I think much more likely if he's leaving to go to Washington, D.C., that they're going to take him out. They're going to take him out. So, again, it might be too soon for to take out the nuclear program, because then everybody thinks the war's over, and they are so close to getting rid of the regime. They are so frigging close to getting rid of the regime. I think to getting rid of the regime that it would be sad if they didn't take this historic, I think truly historic. Again, I think potentially the most important thing to happen geopolitically since the fall of the Berlin Wall, reshape the Middle East. It would dramatically hurt Russia, even change dynamics with China. I mean, not only that, think about what China's thinking right now. Put aside what Russia's thinking, but what China's thinking. Because Russia has Trump support, so Russia's not worried. But think about what China's thinking. I mean, it just saw what American weapons in the hands of people who can use them do. I mean, if I were China or anybody, I would really hesitate to go after a country that possesses those weapons. Or I would be hesitant to challenge the United States, because the United States, has those weapons. Now, Israel improves all the weapons and has its own. But again, the West is so much better, certainly than Russian weapon systems. I mean, nobody in the world is going to buy another Russian airplane or another Russian tank or another Russian anything. Now, we haven't seen Chinese arms, but many of them are based on Russian models, old Soviet models. And there's a lot of corruption in China. And indeed, Chinese haven't seen Chinese arms. They've never tested them. American weapon systems have all been tested now, primarily by Israel. and by Ukraine. And they're performing unbelievably. Do you really want to go up against that? I think you'll see China, in a sense, trying to figure out a diplomatic solution to Taiwan. They're putting on the charm offensive right now with South Korea. South Korea has a new left-of-center president who is friendly to the Chinese. They're putting on the charm offensive there. They're doing a lot to try to appease the Taiwanese. They will do everything they can to take Taiwan without having to go get into a shooting war with anybody. So, all right. Again, it does seem like Israel has done a lot of damage other than to Fordo. We talked about Nantes a minute ago, but in Isfahan, Iran had a key facility responsible for converting 90% enriched uranium to 90% enriched uranium gas to 90% enriched uranium metal, a critical step towards developing a warhead. That site has been destroyed. Without it and sufficient quantities of uranium metal, there's no bomb. Unless Iran has another site or can build it quickly, I don't think they can, and I don't think they do. They've lost 14. Like, the first day, like 7 were killed. I think it was 7. And it's like, the funny joke online was like, if you're a nuclear scientist in Iran and you weren't killed, Israel might not think you're that important. Well, don't worry. I think the self-esteem was recuperated by the fact that they were all killed yesterday and the day before. So Israel followed up with killing another 7. So 14 nuclear scientists. I don't know how many more they have. It's basically almost all the weapons scientists they have on Israel's strike list. Maybe there are a few others. I mean, imagine eliminating Oppenheimer and his top team just before the Trinity test in June 1945. There's no bomb. Fordo has to be destroyed because otherwise they can rebuild a lot of stuff, and they can rebuild it deep down in the Fordo tunnels. But Israel's also striking the entire supply chain to making a bomb. They've done their job. It's an amazing job. You have to. I mean, I keep saying this. I know a lot of people online are skeptical, but this is a phenomenal military achievement and a phenomenal military feat. So congratulations, and let's hope now that they finish it off with or without American help. And it does look like they'll get American help. And it does look like it's going to happen either tomorrow or the next day, either tonight or tomorrow night if they want to bomb at night. But they could bomb during the day. Again, there's no air defense systems. Israelis flying jets during the day over Tehran, which is unthinkable, but not that long ago. So the U.S. could fly as well. So tonight, tomorrow, or tomorrow night, I'd say it's the end of Fordo. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me. I just one last thing on this, and then we'll go to the next story. Mario Nafal, who is on Twitter, he has a huge following. I don't know. Every time he posts, he has 2.2 million followers, and he does the most pathetic, horrible interviews. Like he's now every single day interviewed Colonel McGregor. This is U.S. Army Colonel Douglas McGregor. This is a guy who's been wrong about everything since I started hearing him. During the Ukraine war, he was convinced Russia was going to take Ukraine in weeks. Ukraine is going to, fold any minute now. Then he thought Israel could never take Gaza. It would suffer thousands of casualties. It wasn't, and they couldn't take Hezbollah. And Hezbollah was going to flatten Israel. And now it's like, Israel might not be able to survive because Iran has all these weapons that, he sounds like an Iranian propaganda machine. and he keeps getting interviewed, and he keeps getting more attention, and he keeps getting more views. I mean, one of the great things about Israel just winning this and getting it over with is it'll silence, well, I'm being too optimistic here, I know. It'll silence these idiots. Like, imagine if Trump does intervene or doesn't intervene, doesn't matter. But imagine if within a week, the Iranian regime is gone, the nuclear program's finished, and there's some regime change in Iran. No Israeli boots on the ground, in Tehran. No American boots on the ground. And the Middle East has this amazing change and revolution. I mean, that'll completely destroy, should, I shouldn't say should completely destroy the credibility of people like Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owen and a million, and Douglas McGregor. And people still tell me, oh, you should listen to Douglas McGregor. He has a different point of view. Yeah, and he's an idiot. The fact that he was in the military means zip. All these military commentators on American shows, I mean, not all of them, but most of them are just pathetic. They're losers. They can't imagine taking risks. They can only, they think the foreign armies are 1,000 times better than they really are. It reminds me, in 1991, I was living in Austin, Texas, and there was Bush formed this coalition to get the Iraqis out of Kuwait. And the Iranians won one side, and the Americans and their allies won the other side. And it was like, and the American press was going nuts, and all these military experts were going on TV and saying, oh, the Iraqi military is a formidable military. America's going to have major casualties. This is a new Vietnam. This is terrible, awful. And I was like, this will take hours. This won't take days even. This will take hours. They have no clue what they're talking about. These Russian weapons are shit. The soldiers are unmotivated. They will run at the same time. And it did. It took hours. And it turned out over 50% of American casualties in that war were friendly fire. Friendly fire. Yeah, Alex says, it was going to be the mother of all tank battles. I was like, you got to be kidding. They've got T-65s and T-72s. They're no match for M1s. I mean, they're just no match. And I'm not a military historian. I'm not a military genius. Yeah, I have some experience with against a T-7, with T-72s in my time in the military. But so is anybody can look that up. That's not a secret. Everybody knows how Israel did against Russian equipment over and over and over again over the many decades. And these American military experts, and they know nothing. They know nothing. And as a consequence, and the generals know nothing. And as a consequence, they got into this disaster in Afghanistan and disaster in Iraq because they didn't know how to fight in those wars. And they stuck around. They didn't understand the culture. They didn't understand what they were dealing with. I called it. We called it. Many people called it. Not many. Some of us called it. And early. And yeah. And we're not military experts, not military historians. Yeah, Israel, I think Israel in size is what? What's it, 5% of the size of Iran in size and in population, a tenth? I mean, Iran's like 100 times bigger geographically and 10 times bigger in population. And it's hard for people to believe, but Israel is whipping them. All right. Let's turn to domestic stuff. This is fun. This one is a doozy. So you remember on May 23rd, Trump threatened Apple and Samsung. Apple first, and then he realized, I can't just do Apple, so he did Samsung as well. 25% tariffs on phones not made in the United States. Now, I don't think this has gone into effect, but that was the threat. And it was the first time Trump actually threatened tariffs on individual companies. versus industries or whole countries. Right? Well, 24 days later, today, this morning, the Trump organization announced Trump Mobile. Trump Mobile is going to be a mobile phone company with the Trump name and Trump phones, which will ultimately, they haven't said when ultimately is, be made in the United States. And they will be made, they will be colored gold, of course. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. These people, I mean, look it up. You can find it in the news. It was all over the news today. Eric Trump and Trump Jr. Made the announcement. They showed off the phones, these gold phones, and they're going to be made. Here it is. Now we're doing Trump Mobile, and Trump Mobile is going to revolutionize cell phones. That's Eric Trump. Revolutionize cell phones because we know. I mean, these guys are technology geniuses. They could beat Apple any day. And if they can't, can always raise the tariffs to 50%, 75%, 100%. I mean, this is just, they are so boldly corrupt. It's like they don't even hide it anymore. Like somebody confronted Trump Jr. and said, hey, you guys have made X number of, I don't know, millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars from crypto, and it's going into Donald Trump, the father's account, and how is this not a conflict of interest? And Trump Jr. said, yeah, he's not touching the money. He said it's okay because he's not touching it. He's just accumulating there in his name, bigger and bigger and bigger, as he changes the laws and manipulates governments to its advantage. I don't know. I mean, this will go down as, without a doubt, put everything else aside, the most corrupt administration in history. If you thought the Bidens were corrupt, and they were, no question, they were. This is like, I mean,
of any company.
They are basically making, the Bidens look like amateurs. Like amateurs. And but the phones will be made in the U.S., so we're all good. We're all good. A new phone. All right. Because we know the Trump organization is very strong on technology. This is all part of the Truth Social Network and all of that. And there were even rumors that at some point that Truth Social is going to buy X. And, that was the deal that he had with Trump. And now they're falling out, so now they won't. But there's going to be a Trump mobile phone. It's going to be a Trump phone. They're going to do it better, and they're going to do it safer, and it's going to be more functional, and it's going to be cooler than, according to Eric Trump, than Apple or Samsung or anybody else. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Here's something more amazing and actually scarier, but in the same vein, but actually scarier because I think this could have long-term implications for freedom markets, companies in the United States. It's kind of interesting because I'm doing this course for Peterson Academy on the corporation, on the American business and business model and kind of the history of the American business model, antitrust, cronyism, industrial planning. It's going to be, I wasn't sure a couple of days ago, but I think it's coming together to be a really good course, a really interesting course. I think I'm still working on it. I'm going to devote all day tomorrow to working on it. Hopefully it'll all come together. I start teaching it on Thursday. But it really is. I think it's going to be a cool course, and of course you can't get anywhere else. I mean, the content exists, but I don't think anybody's teaching it. But this is really interesting. So, mergers and acquisitions has been a big corporate governance issue since the 19th century, and the trust busters, and companies getting big, and foreign companies buying American companies has been always a little, controversial. And there was this bid of Nippon Steel to buy struggling U.S. Steel here in the United States, and Biden succumbing to not the local union. The local union at U.S. Steel supports the deal, but the steel union overall, the big steel union, opposed it. So Biden, on the basis of national security reasons, halted the deal, right? Disallowed it. And Trump, during the campaign, said that he supported Biden in this, that he would not allow Nippon Steel to buy U.S. Steel. Well, it's just been announced that a deal is being made whereby Nippon Steel will partner. I mean, as far as we can tell, it's buy. A lot of the details of this deal are still confidential, so we don't have it completely. But Trump has allowed Nippon Steel to buy U.S. Steel. What's the catch? Well, the catch is something that I don't know of ever happening in American history. I think this is a first. Other countries do this, but America's never done this. The catch is something called the golden share. And what Nippon Steel has agreed to is to grant the White House, the President of the United States, a golden share that gives the U.S. government, an extraordinary amount of influence over this new company, this U.S. Steel under Nippon Steel ownership. But this ownership is contingent on U.S. government approving many of its decisions. So it's a golden share, S-H-A-R-E, from shareholder, from stock. So the structure of the deal would give President Trump and his successors, this is a golden share in perpetuity, a permanent stake in U.S. Steel. It would give them significant sway over its board of directors. So that of the 3 outside directors that would be appointed on the board of U.S. Steel, the new U.S. Steel owned by Nippon, owned in quotation marks, the President of the United States would appoint 1 director and would have veto power on the other 2. So basically, you would have 3 government-appointed outside directors, all of the outside directors, on the board of a U.S. company. Now, this has never happened before in the United States. Now, true, companies and industries have been nationalized in the U.S., but for a short period of time, and then they've been privatized, and it doesn't last very long, these experiments with fascism and socialism. But this is like in perpetuity. And this could be a model particularly for foreign investment in the United States. You want to invest in the U.S.? Sure. You have to give us a piece. Now, we don't know exactly what the deal includes, the full deal. It was hammered out in meetings late on Wednesday and Thursday night. But we still don't have the full deals. Now, remember, Nippon Steel's been trying to buy U.S. Steel. It's a way for them to produce steel in the U.S. without having to pay tariffs to import it. And they have economies of scale, and they have managerial economies. I mean, there's a huge advantage here for Nippon Steel to do this deal, and they're paying a huge premium. So U.S. Steel shareholders loved this deal because they were going to get paid out and make a lot of money on a failed U.S. Steel company. And again, Biden blocked this. Trump was going to block this. But now somebody proposed this to Trump, and, this idea of taking a stake and making the U.S. have control over U.S. steel. Trump loves that. He loves that. He wants to, as president, also be CEO in chief. He wants to be able to run American businesses. And now he's got a chance, at least, to have veto power over much of what this business does. All right, it does look like the attack is going to be sooner rather than later by the U.S. According to Fox News, U.S. President Trump has requested that the National Security Council be in the Situation Room when he arrives at the White House later tonight from the G7 summit. I think that means they'll make the decision tonight. Now, Nippon had argued that this influence should expire, perhaps after 3 or 4 years, the duration of the Trump administration. But Commerce Secretary Lutnick, who is the chief negotiator on the American side, a real economic fascist, this guy's just an idiot in my view, insisted that it be in perpetuity, and supposedly, ultimately, Nippon agreed. Under the terms of this it's called the National Security Pact, which the companies signed on Friday, the U.S. government would retain a single share preferred stock called Class G, as in gold, and U.S. Steel's charter would list nearly a dozen activities the company cannot undertake without the approval of the American president or someone designated by him. Activities requiring the president's permission include the company transferring production or jobs outside the United States, closing or idling plants before agreed-upon timeframes, and making certain changes to how it sources raw materials. Now, the companies are calling it a partnership, but it's Nippon's buying it. There's not been any indication that the deal that shareholders are expecting, a $14.9 billion sale to Nippon, is off. So, I mean, this is, again, unprecedented, never been done before. And we now have a president who can have a significant influence over a major U.S. company's board of directors, authority to both appoint those directors, but also control what decisions they make. The share is supposedly non-economic, so it wouldn't grant the U.S. government any dividends. So Nippon would still be reaping profits. It wouldn't have to share the profits with the U.S. government. But it gives a lot of the control rights to the U.S. government. I mean, it's scary because you don't know where this leads, where this takes us, and this is what, this is what Trump has always wanted, and this is what I think everybody's afraid he would do. Take control over much of American industry, and hard to tell what this will actually lead to, whether it's a big deal, a small deal, this will just be a one-off and it'll never happen again, or whether this is a real shift in American, government's attitude towards mergers and acquisitions. I mean, you can imagine an antitrust case where two companies want to merge, and the government says, okay, you can merge, but on condition that we get a golden share and we get to control major decisions in the company. Now, this is all done under national security ideas. By the way, other countries that do similar things, Brazil owns a similar kind of share in Embraer. China has a, indirect stake in TikTok and controls it. But of course, China controls a lot of companies. And the UK with defense company BAE, but never in American, as far as I can tell, never in American history has this happened. So somebody cares about governance, corporate governance, finance. This is spooky stuff. This is the government. The right claims they're not socialist, but this smacks of this horrible socialism. Is pretty amazing. All right, we talked a little bit the other day about this Democratic socialist who's running for mayor in New York, who's coming in second after Cuomo, but is almost matching him in the polls, and could really be a guy who could win. And so there's a primary, and he's a Muslim, recent immigrant to the United States, just became a citizen, I think, 2 years ago. And a Democratic socialist. He's called for things like freezing rents and, replacing police with social workers and all kinds of, just nutty. Oh, he wants the government to operate grocery stores. Anyway, the New York Times has come out with an editorial. You probably thought supporting him. Even the New York Times is telling people not to vote for this guy. This guy's too left for the New York Times. He's replacing police in certain of their functions with social workers. Certain functions that the police do now, he wants social workers to do. Here's the New York Times. Unfortunately, Mr. Mamdani is running on an agenda uniquely unsuited to the city's challenges. Again, this is the New York Times, Tommy. He is a democratic socialist who too often ignores the unavoidable trade-offs of governance. He favors rent freezes that could restrict housing supply and make it harder for young New Yorkers and new arrivals to afford housing. Even the New York Times has figured out that rent control is bad. Even the New York Times. It's pretty amazing. Maybe they watch what Milei did in Buenos Aires, and they know it. All right, so they're against that. He wants the government to operate grocery stores as if customer service and retail sales were strength of the public sector. That's an understatement of the year. He minimizes the importance of policing. Most worrisome, he shows little concern about the disorder of the past decade, even though its costs have fallen hardest on the city's working class and poor residents. Mr. Mamdani, who has called Mr. de Blasio the best New York mayor of his lifetime, offers an agenda that remains alluring among elite progressives, but has proved damaging to city life. So, yay to the New York Times. Didn't think I'd say that. It's being general, I think, because this guy's a complete nutcase and would be an unmitigated disaster. Unmitigated disaster for the city of New York. But they're telling people not to do it. It goes on to say, given those polls, however, the crucial choice may end up being where, if at all, voters decide to rank Mr. Cuomo and Mr. Mamdani. Remember, this is choice ranking. We do not believe that Mr. Mamdani deserves a spot on New Yorkers' ballot. Don't rank him at all. He shouldn't be ranked anywhere, the New York Times is saying. His experience is too thin. His agenda reads like a turbocharged version of Mr. de Blasio's dismal mayoralty. As for Mr. Cuomo, we have serious objections to his ethics and conduct, even if he would be better for New York's future than Mr. Mamdani. All right. Even the New York Times. Yeah, some other things that this guy, yeah, anyway, you get the picture. This guy's really, really, really bad. All right, what do we do now? Yeah, we'll talk about that next time. All right, let's call that a day. We'll call that the news. That is the news for Monday, June 16th. And tomorrow looks like it's going to be an interesting day, with the potential of the U.S. entering the war with Iran and maybe helping Israel just finish it off, just finishing it off. We will see. We will see. All right, we have a bunch of questions, so we'll go to that. Still plenty of time, so feel free to jump in with questions, or even better, jump in with some significant supports. We can do stickers for any amount. We've got a lot of people watching, 300 people, back to 300, 400 on Twitter, down from the big numbers when everybody was really interested in what was going on. All right, just to bring you up to speed. Tehran's been emptying out of people for the last couple of days. We saw massive traffic jams all day today, most of the day yesterday. Now, oh my God, everybody wants to leave Tehran. Basically, there's a mass exodus right now out of Tehran. The whole highway is just a parking lot. Everyone, after Trump's evacuation order, everybody's leaving. We're talking about 16 million people in greater Tehran. 16 million people. Mamdani might not be a fool. He's just an evil bastard who holds evil ideas. He's an evasive socialist who doesn't understand how destructive and awful and evil socialist ideas are. And he would be unbelievably destructive for the city of New York. I'm just commenting to somebody online. I'd support anybody over Mamdani. I do not support Cuomo, but I'd vote for anybody over Mamdani. Anybody. Yes, taxing millionaires over 2% is a horrible, disgusting, offensive thing to do. There's millionaires who bring jobs to the city, who are actually the what keeps the city going and alive and productive, and they're the ones who should pay for a corrupt socialist agenda. Give me a break. All right. But, this guy obviously doesn't know my views on socialism and on capitalism and on billionaires. Maybe you should check out some of my videos, check out some of my talks on morality of capitalism and the evil of socialism. But no, you should vote for anybody over this guy. And if you have to vote for Cuomo just to prevent him from reaching the mayorship, then vote for Cuomo. I'm no Cuomo fan. I hate Cuomo. But God, if this is the best the Democratic Party can do, then so be it. But you cannot elect an explicit socialist to run one of the great cities of the world. I'd rather have a mixed market than a socialist one. I'd rather you vote in a laissez-faire capitalist to run New York and to liberate the New York market and make it into a capitalist market. But since that's not going to happen, better to have a status quo Cuomo than a pure, unadulterated socialist. Grocery stores run by the government, that disqualifies anybody from any position in government. Anybody. All right, anyway, the pictures out of Tehran, massive exodus out of the city. People are leaving. They do not want to be there. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. All right, who are we looking for here? By the way, Netanyahu today gave an interview to one of the Iranian channels that broadcast from outside of Iran. One of the more what do you call it? Freedom-oriented channels that oppose the regime. Yep. All right. Let's see. One thing New York City doesn't need, the city government does not need, is more money. That's the one thing the city does not need. It just needs to use the money it gets more efficiently and more effectively. It needs to fire thousands of government employees. It needs to streamline its activities to only those that are essential for city government to do. It needs to get out of the way of business and licensing and regulating and controlling. And the only thing it should be beefing up is police. And even there, I don't think it requires a lot more money to beef up the police to have to do what it needs to do, to be done. All right, let's go to the super chat. Before we do that, let me remind you, you can become a monthly contributor to the Yaron Brook Show. Please consider doing that. If you gain value from the show, we are a listener, viewer, funded show. I couldn't do this without the support from you guys. So please consider supporting the show on Patreon. Value for value, monthly basis, anything from $2 to $1,000 a month is available there. Please consider doing that. I want to remind you that our sponsors are Alex Epstein, alexepstein.substack.com. alexepstein.substack.com is one of our sponsors. One second, what is going on here? Whoops, no, not that. Alex is by far the best commentator in the world, and I'm not exaggerating, on issues relating to fossil fuels, related to energy, related to climate change, related to all these issues. There's nobody better. If you read his Substack on a regular basis, you will elevate your knowledge in all these fields: energy, the grid, electricity. What is coming through the Senate and the House right now in this ridiculous, big, beautiful bill? How the Senate is now, the few good things that are in there that the House put in, and the Senate is reversing a lot of that. So follow Alex, support Alex's work. Go to alexepstein.substack.com. alexepstein.substack.com. All right. The Ayn Rand Institute is a sponsor of the show. They are hosting a special live stream event to celebrate America's Independence Day on July 4th this year from Boston. The event, live stream from Oakland and the birthplace of the American Revolution, Boston, Massachusetts, will feature a powerful talk delivered by AOI's Ben Baer. America should declare independence from altruism. America should declare independence from altruism. Ayn Rand said that America is in the grips of a moral crisis, one that only a moral revolution can resolve, a moral revolution to sanction and complete the political achievement of the American Revolution. Ben Baer's talk will take this challenge head on. So you should all become part of the moral revolution and join us on the 4th of July, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss the event. Sign up to get reminders by going to aynrand.org/start here. I think it's free, but if you go to aynrand.org/start here, you can get reminders to do this, to join us 10 a.m. Eastern Time, July 4th, and you'll probably get the link there and all of that. So that'll be great. All right. I think that's all the administrative stuff we have to clear. Probably do a show tomorrow, same time. I'm basically spending the days working on this course and the evening and do a show in the evening. Wes, thank you for the sticker, $50. Really, really appreciate that. Let's see. I want to go through and just see the other stickers and thank you guys. The sticker guys, for Donna, thank you. Also, Adam, thank you for gifting memberships and other stickers. Yeah, okay. Anonymous user, thank you. Bonnie, thank you. Cook, thank you. Brian, thank you. Everybody else, Jonathan Honing, anonymous user. Catherine started us off, and Catherine and Esoteric Dichotomy. Thank you, guys. All right, let's go to the actual super chats. We'll start with Zvika. Zvika, $100. Thank you, Zvika. Hi, Yaron. Thank you for your clear voice in supporting Israel. I appreciate that. Thank you, Zvika. Thanks for all the support you give me and the show. Paul. Is $50? Thank you. Is there any concern that a terrorist organization like ISIS could arise in a defeated Iran the way it did in Iraq? I don't think so. I really don't. There is a Islamist, Marxist opposition group in Iran, but it's marginal. I don't think it has any power there. ISIS is very much a Sunni, and they hate the Shiites. So ISIS hates Iran. But what I think we're counting on is that at least 50% of the Iranian population is secular or moderately religious. They're not fundamentalist. I think that significantly less than 50% is fundamentally religious. And they're not interested in an ISIS type, and they're not interested in a new theocracy. They want something new, something different. And I think once the regime is shown to have collapsed, even the people who are religious are going to give it up and admit what a failure it was. And it's just been a failure. There's no question it's been a failure in terms of just providing the basics, allowing Iranians to fight for the basics. So Iran is not Iraq. ISIS benefited from the fact that Sunnis and Shiites split the country almost 50-50. So there's a large Sunni minority in the north, and then there's the Kurds, and they all fight and they all hate each other, and they leverage that hatred. Also, they benefited from the fact that there was really, no regime. I think whatever happens now, and the earlier the Iranian regime falls, the better. There's still some mechanisms of government, some mechanisms of power there that will be taken over by I think more moderate forces. So no, I don't expect anything like that to happen. U.S. officials confirm that forces in the Middle East remain in defensive posture, and that the U.S. is not yet participating in strikes against targets in Iran. Sounds like the Revolutionary Guard is in complete panic. Top brass is all moving underground. Families have already been sent out of the country and continue to be sent out of the country. But it's just getting worse now that they think the U.S. is entering. They've completely lost faith in their future survival. They're finished, and they seem to be acknowledging that they're finished. So whether it's some kind of preservation deal where they all leave to Russia or something, and instead, we get some moderate force, I don't know, but we will see. It's almost 4 a.m. in Tehran, so if the United States is going to get involved with the war in Iran tonight, it is going to happen within the next hour or so. If not, it likely won't happen until tomorrow night or later this week. See, I'm not sure a night is as important as it typically is in war, again, because of what Israel has achieved vis-a-vis dominance in the skies. All right, Marek. Thai baht is Marek in Thailand. I didn't know that. With regime change, do you think Iran will be a great place to go and do business in a month, like a company that helps them study or work abroad? Or do you think it will be chaotic for a year or two? I think it's something in between there. I wouldn't go in a month just because you might find that there's still some nasty people around and they'll still be figuring out what to do. But at some point, Iran has huge potential. It's a potentially westernizing culture. It's well educated. It used to be a young population. I don't know if it still is. And it'll be coming out of, what is it? 46 years of darkness, 47 years of darkness. They'll be very eager, very excited to get involved, to do things, to produce, to create, to go overseas, to learn. So I think there are lots of opportunities for people to go there and make money in the beginning. I would wait to see how it stabilizes, who's in charge, the extent to which whoever's in charge is going to respect property rights, Foreigners, how foreigners going to be viewed. I would give it a little bit just to see how it shakes out. But yes, I think opportunities are there. If you're young, entrepreneurial, eager for an adventure, it could be a place to go. I would wait to make sure that's really what's happening. Thank you, Merrick. Mary Aline. I read that Iran might get ballistic missiles from Pakistan. Is that true? Possible? No, I mean, no way that's happening. Pakistan is going to express its support for Iran. It hates Israel. But the Sunnis, they don't particularly like Iran. They just closed the border off, so not allow Iranians to come into Pakistan. And you remember, Pakistan has nuclear weapons, but it doesn't want to get into a war with Israel. It's already got its hands full with India. So no, I don't think there's any chance of that happening. Iran is isolated. It really is isolated. Nobody's coming to save them. In spite of all the claims of a World War III, there's no there, and there never was a there. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Michael. Mysterious flights take off in Tehran and then disappear off the radar. Did Khamenei and top regime official flee Iran? The Iranian people have a once in 47 years chance to take the country back. History is knocking. I doubt that it's Khamenei. Some officials might have fled, but I think it's primarily families. I think they got their kids and their wives, and a lot of them have dual citizenship. I think they went off radar because they were heading for Moscow, and I think that was the deal. I think Moscow, whether it's their final place or it's an intermediate place, intermediate place. Maybe some of them went to Azerbaijan if they're more affiliated with Azari people, or maybe they went to other places, Central Asia. But my guess is they went to Moscow. And then those with dual citizenships will try to figure out if they can go to Europe or Canada or whatever it is, wherever it is they have the dual citizenship. But I doubt that Khamenei himself is left. He's 80-something years old. He's going to die in Iran, maybe sooner rather than later, but he's going to die. He's going to die in Iran. All right, Iran has just launched ballistic missiles against Israel. So again, about 10 minutes from now, we'll see the effect of that. Let's see. According to Polymarket, where you bet on different things, the chance of U.S. military action against Iran before July, that is this month, has just shot up from basically 25%, 27% earlier today to 65%. 65%. Still not 90 or 100%, but 65%. We will see. We will see. All right, but there are ballistic missiles heading to Israel, so we're going to have to see what happens with that. Where am I going to get my ongoing thing? You remember that photo I told you, guys, of the F-35, but with people around it, and it's crashed and it looks destroyed. But if you look carefully, not that carefully, it's kind of obvious. It's like huge. It's massive. Well, a bunch of memes came out around that with the Iranians of, with different, the Death Star and Starship Enterprise and a bunch of other things. Yep. Let's see. Time Iran is yeah, hard to tell. Yep. All right. We'll keep an eye out on this over the next. I'm just trying to find my reliable sources in terms of info on the missiles. I think I have him there. And now just keep an eye on that one. All right. Let's see. What else did Michael say? Yep. I agree with you about the once in a lifetime, once in a generational opportunity. Okay. It looks like air raid sirens across all of Israel. I mean, all of central Israel, from Netanya south across all of Tel Aviv. So not in the north, basically all of Tel Aviv. Let's see. All right, let's see what happens in the next few minutes. Marek says, go Israel. Thank you, Marek. Adam, wouldn't issuing golden shares set a precedent for even domestic future M&A potentially? Leveraged buyouts, a deal blocking. Yeah, anytime the government has to give its thumbs up, it could say, okay, but you have to give us a golden share. How will they pick and choose which deals to inject exactly? Well, the ones where they want government control. They get to choose. Arbitrary government power. And this is the real danger of this, is that it's now used arbitrarily by the government to pick and choose, again, winners and losers, who's on the government side and who's not on the government side, orienting companies now to work in the public interest, government interest. You know, this is the whole idea of you can't move manufacturing facilities to Mexico, you can't do this, you can't do that, all based on the common good and the public interest. So very, very, very dangerous. Very dangerous and very bad. I actually talk about this in my Peterson course because it's on the corporation. It's exactly on this. It's about corporate governance. This is a disaster for corporate governance. Who owns the company? If you own the company, if you don't have control, do you really own it? Andrew, how do you explain the extreme inaccuracy of the military commentators who overestimate Iran's military capabilities and deny that Israel can win? Are they willing to believe anything rather than see Israel as a winner? I don't think it's that. I mean, these are people who were wrong, as I mentioned, in 1991 with regard to American capability versus Iraq. They were wrong with regard to Israel in Gaza or in Lebanon. They were wrong with regard to Ukraine's ability to sustain a Russian invasion. They just have no, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, they just evade the nature of authoritarian evil regimes. They think evil is competent. These are the people who think Hitler had a great army. And a proficient army, and the Germans had the best weapon systems and everything, which is none of that is true. So it's an attitude that I think and reveres authoritarianism. They think the authoritarians have better armies than the free countries because, I don't know, they're more organized, they're more systematic. You saw them marching. Did you guys see the parade? I mean, the parade was pretty interesting. Everybody was commentating on how sloppy the marching was. And it was. It was super sloppy. And I was like, yes, I love this. Not just because he humiliated Trump. That was a side benefit. But because, we're not, the American army and the Israeli army, they're not about parades. They're not about being in ship-shape, perfect form and marching perfectly and standing up straight. They're about kicking ass. They're about winning wars. They're about going out there and doing the job. They're about effectiveness in combat. And that's what you care about. And I don't think there's an appreciation of that. You see the goose-stepping Nazis or the North Koreans marching beautifully and everything. Well, you go, whoa, that's quite an army. No, it's not. All they know how to do is march. They can't fight. They won't fight. They have no incentive to fight. So it's hard to tell why exactly all these military experts are so bad at this. I don't know. But I think it's something to do with that. A real disrespect for the armies of free countries. Ascent Defender reported F-16I Sufa multi-role fighter aircraft armed with BLU-109B bunker buster bombs equipped with joint direct attack munitions, JDAM kits. Takeoff air bases in Israel strong enough for footload? No, not strong enough for footload. They were taking off for Nantes, for the tonight's round on Nantes. These are the small bunker buster bombs. These are what Israel used in Beirut to go after Nasrallah. You have to hit the same target over and over and over and over again, and then you can penetrate, but you cannot penetrate to the depths of Fudo. But it probably was used for Natanz, where they had already softened up the target in the previous 2 days, and they were going in today for the kill. So my guess is those F-16s were used for the final kill with those bunker buster bombs. But don't confuse that bunker bomb with the mother of all bombs, as the Americans call it, the mother of all bombs, which Americans used in Afghanistan a couple of times, but it's not been used that often. Which you need a B-2 to carry. You need a big airplane to carry it, because it weighs a lot, 30,000 pounds. It's the Moab, the mother of all bombs. MOPE is GBU-57. I don't know what a GBU-57 is, but this says it was Anyway, the GBU, and that's a BGU-43. Anyway, there's a number of these big bombs. This is not it. This is the BLU-109, which is different. All right. Got a bunch of $5 and $10 questions. We're like $2 short of our 2-hour goal, although we might go into the third hour given the number of $5 and $10 questions. So please consider doing more stickers, asking more questions. $20, $50, $100 questions are all welcome. Your support is very, very much appreciated. Value for value. Remember, show is supported by you, nobody else, just you. Esoteric Dichotomy, hello, Yaron. How does objectivism treat inheritance of companies? Is it in the parents' right to select their heir, but also is it not meritocratic? Objectivism is not meritocratic. Objectivism is not a meritocracy. Everything is not determined by somebody's view of merit. Who the hell's view of merit? How do you decide merit? Subjectivism is not a meritocracy. Does not believe in meritocracy. Objectivism believes in property rights. Parents have a right to decide what they want, whether the children deserve the money or not. It's none of my business, none of your business, none of anybody's business. The parents can decide with their property. This is why objectivism is about private property, about individual rights. Parent can decide to do whatever they want with their property. They can burn it. They can give it to their kids. They can give it to a stranger. They can give it to the most qualified person in the world. It's their job. It's not our job to decide who's meritorious enough to get their property. Their property is theirs. That's why I never like to talk about meritocracy. It's not what we're about. Daniel says, have you heard Ben Shapiro's commentary on Trump's part in Israel's fight? He worships Trump. It's sickening. He gives Trump full credit. Yeah, I know. What can I do? It's Ben Shapiro. He's smart, but he's got an audience to please. I don't have my audience is small, so I don't care if I please you or not. Well, you guys want me to be principled. If I stop becoming principled, I'd lose you. Maybe I'd gain a different audience, but I'd lose you. Michael says, apparently Israel was going to take out Ayatollah, but Trump vetoed it. Why would he do that? Yeah, that's what the rumors said this morning. That's what a bunch of people said this morning. I mean, he would do that for lots of reasons. If the Ayatollah goes, who's he going to sign a deal with? It'll create more instability. It'll create more problems. There won't be an authority. The Iranian people will turn against us. Who knows what kind of rationalizations they go through. Oh, there's a convention out there that you don't go after political leaders. You go after military leaders, but not after political leaders. Note that Israel didn't kill any of the political leaders. None of the mullahs were killed. They were all generals. They were all military commanders. That's the convention, but it's a stupid convention. You go after whoever it takes to stop the war, to bring it to an end. White troops on the ground. Trump always wants a parade. White troops on the ground. Where? I don't know. I'm not sure what you were referencing, Gail. Is that my reference to Israel has to put troops on the ground to get Fadlo? The only reason is they can't do it from the air. They'd have to go into the tunnels, down where the centrifuges are, put explosive on there, and blow them up from within. And it's been proposed by a number of people that that is the only way Israel could do it. Ideally, United States does it from the air. Liam, how is Iran still able to launch so many ballistic missiles when Israel controls their entire airspace? Because the launchers are mobile, the missiles are mobile, and you just have to, it's a huge country. It's a massive country. They just have to bring them into a remote area, set it up, and fire. It doesn't take that long to set up and fire a mobile launcher. And Israel is trying to identify them, trying to find them and knock them out beforehand. But it's very difficult. It's objectively very difficult. These are small truck-like things. They're getting as many as they can, but they can't get all of them. They can't get all of them. It's not surprising. It's actually quite an achievement that they've only, shot as many as they have. So far, no reports of impact in Israel. So far, multiple interceptions near Tel Aviv with no reports of impact so far. We'll see. Harper Campbell, will Trump force a peace agreement soon, giving Iran the chance to rearm? I don't know. This is one reason Israel does have to hurry, is because Trump is unpredictable, and he could. Although it does seem like he's going the other way, and it seems like he's going in the direction of entering the fray and actually helping to end this quickly. All right, Home Front Command states that civilians can now leave their shelters. Another relatively small batch of ballistic missiles. So every day, the number has been significantly smaller. And to optimize from an Iranian perspective, you want to launch them all at the same time. You want to overwhelm their defense system. The fact that they're spreading them out and each time it's, fewer than 10, you're not going to get any of them to land. You're not going to do any real damage. Harper Campbell, Trump is so unprincipled, pragmatic, and immoral that it makes the nihilistic left feel jealous. Yeah, they can compete. James, parallels between Stephen Miller and Joseph Goebbels. I don't like to make those parallels. I don't think the Trump administration is a Nazi administration. I don't think it's helpful to compare Nazi figures with figures today. Stephen Miller is a nasty human being, filled with hate, focused almost exclusively on immigrants. And he's a despicable, hateful, horrific human being. Goebbels was probably a lot worse, but he's certainly in the same vein in terms of the vile hatred that he expresses, exudes, relishes. Ari, Fox suggested that there are Iranian sleeper cells in the United States. Is it true? Also, yes, the regime should not be allowed to stay. I hope Israel succeeds. It could be. It could be. I doubt they'll do anything. Again, as the regime falls, nobody wants to fight for a losing cause. Fox wants to say that over and over and over again because it wants to blame Biden and immigration policy for that. Are they actual sleeper cells? maybe, but I think it's low likelihood. Look, there were Israeli spies for Iran in Israel over the last 2 years. They've caught a number of them. So are there any in the U.S.? Probably. Did they come in mass when the border was open because of Biden? I doubt it. I doubt that that's sophisticated to take advantage of that. Ryan says, hi, I'm reading about Swiss government refusing to allow arms sales if they go to Ukraine. Can you explain how neutrality is an immoral position? How can anyone think it is virtuous? Well, I mean, Switzerland was neutral in World War II. When, the Nazis won the other side. Indeed, they made a lot of money off of the Nazis because that's where the Nazis hid all their money and the gold and the jewelry and paintings that they stole from Jews and all these other stuff. They've been neutral forever. It's immoral not to support the good, because what you're doing by not supporting the good is promoting evil. And, ultimately evil will get you. Evil doesn't care that you're neutral. Now, the Germans used the Swiss. They wanted them neutral because they used them, again, to hide a lot of their money so they could get out of Germany after the war. But there's no guarantees. And if Russia ever succeeds in its domination over Europe, there's simply no reason why Russia would spare Switzerland. Although I will say this, Putin, who is rumored to be the richest man in the world, has stolen more money than any man in history, has much of his money in Switzerland, supposedly. So maybe he has an interest in Switzerland staying neutral. I don't know. Maybe he's bribing them. James, is Trump good enough? I mean, look, it's an issue of justice. And justice is a selfish virtue. If you don't support the good, then you embolden evil. And by emboldening evil, you destroy ultimately your own life. And even if they don't come after you, they'll come after the good people around you. Now, luckily in World War II, other countries stepped forward and defeated Hitler. But imagine if Hitler had won in Europe, Switzerland would be a lot poorer a place, even if he'd never occupied Switzerland. James, is Trump good enough of a marketer to become ultra wealthy if he didn't come from money, or would he be a used car salesman barely getting by? I really don't know. If he hadn't come from money, many of the opportunities he had to learn the skill of marketing and the skill of the kind of deals he does, or have that, it wouldn't have happened. So it's very hard to say about somebody what they would have done under completely different circumstances. I just don't know. I don't think he would have been that successful. No. James, will Puerto Rico become an economic powerhouse if they keep these low tax rates indefinitely with buying an investment property there to hold for the next 30 years? Not necessarily. I mean, the tax breaks are only for Americans coming to Puerto Rico. Puerto Ricans themselves don't get it, don't have them. Americans are still coming here, but I don't see Puerto Rico becoming a dynamic, growing, fastly growing economy. It's doing better. It's doing better than it has in the past. It's doing okay, and there's a lot of gentrification going on in parts of San Juan that are really nice to see. But and there might be some. I mean, the advantage of investment here is there's a bunch of areas in Puerto Rico, much of San Juan, I think, where you can basically invest tax-free. The development zones, tax-free development zones. Remember that the tax deal is not, Puerto Ricans pay high taxes. And you have to make sure that whatever you do here, you do it within these tax incentives. So I think an investment through one of these tax development zone things is probably a good idea in Puerto Rico. You'd probably make good money. That is true. Islam Ali, will Israel's altruism prevent full victory? Maybe. It doesn't seem that way right now. But maybe. I mean, I think right now The only thing that prevents full victory is likely to be Trump if he decides to negotiate rather than, put an end to this. Not Your Average Algorithm says breaking MSNBC and BBC are reporting millions of Gazan children killed in Israeli airstrikes on Iran. Yep. Of starvation. They were killed of starvation from the airstrikes in Iran. Yep. Nice one. Joseph. Given that Trump governs according to who likes, dislikes him, you'd think he wants to destroy the Iranian regime that tried to have him assassinated. Yeah, that was a while ago, and, maybe, but he wanted to negotiate though in the 60 days. He gave them a chance. So Trump's a weird one. Not Your Average Algorithm. Look, I think it's fair to say if Trump were president, this war wouldn't have happened. I think that's absolutely fair to say. Harper Campbell, did Israel decide to launch this attack on Trump's birthday because they thought he would be in a better mood? No, I wouldn't be surprised if they did do it on the 61st day. There were other operational considerations within Israel. It took them a while to get this ready. But I think the 61st day when Trump had given the Iranians 60 days was important for them. But there were other considerations that had to do with operational readiness. Harper Campbell, Netanyahu has been saying Iran is just on the verge of acquiring nuclear weapons for the past 20 years. Why are they acting now? I think because now it got real. It really did look like they were there. Even the Atomic Agency organization, for the first time in 20 years, said that the Iranians were cheating. They hadn't said that in 20 years. So I think the intelligence showed that it was actually going to happen. Q2 Santos, given the destruction and death in Tel Aviv, are these attacks actually making Israel more secure? Yeah, much more secure. And you can see that in the decline in the number of ballistic missiles coming in. The number of deaths are, every death is significant and important, but the number of death is nothing. Nothing. I mean, Israel was expecting, again, military experts who attribute way too much ability to the other side, expecting 600 to 900 deaths in the first couple of barrages of missiles. And what did it have? It's up to 24 today. I mean, in a war, 24 casualties, no soldiers, zero military personnel, no planes lost, maybe a couple of drones, and 24 civilians killed. That's nothing. It's nothing. So, and the destruction is minimal. A few residential buildings, maybe 5 residential buildings, which have to be rebuilt. It's nothing. Financially, it's nothing. It's from every perspective, it's nothing. As compared to the benefit of disassembling the Iranian nuclear program and, more importantly, or potentially, the Iranian regime, yeah, I mean, that cost-benefit analysis is easy for a government to do. Michael, they will lie to preserve their hatred at any cost, even their own minds and capacity to think. Yes, I think he's talking about Candace and Tucker and Dave Smith and all those weirdos. Cook says, but Iran, libertarians are just anti-war. They are. They're anti-war. Even when the good guys are trying to defend themselves from the bad guys, which makes them pro-bad guys. In those kind of wars, they're pro-bad guys. All right, Philip, thanks for the excellent coverage. Do you believe it's at all possible Iran could might launch a you-know-what, not as a test? No, because I don't think they have a you-know-what. I don't think they're close enough. Their scientists are gone. Their facilities for assembling these things are gone. And if they try to do anything significant, Israel's got eyes and ears all over the place, they would stop them. So no. I mean, if they had one, I think they would use it, but I don't think they have it. Hellwolf, wouldn't there be a power vacuum? How will regime change actually happen in Iran? I don't know. I mean, one possibility is a handoff to one of these so-called moderate mullahs, people who've been putting themselves up to be president, but the council of whatever of Islam has turned them down and turned them away. They have some support bases, and they are religious, so they'll have some support from both sides, with an understanding that they're transition figures into establishing a more democratic process for electing new leaders for Iran and getting rid of the Supreme Council, the council that picks the candidates and all of that. So it would mean getting rid of the Supreme Council. It would mean a new president, getting rid of the Supreme Leader position, putting into the presidency somebody who is more moderate, who is accepted in Iran as more moderate, not a complete secularist, but more moderate, and you know, going to an election which did not have the religious authorities dictating who could and couldn't participate in. We're now seeing more tankers, more refueling tankers leaving U.S. Air Force bases. I don't know what they're doing. I really do not know what they're doing. They're in the Northeast, and they seem to be moving to the Atlantic to go across to Europe. I don't know why they need so many tankers. I don't know what they're planning to do, but it seems to me that whatever they want to do is pretty easy at this point, given what, I mean, maybe they're going to put hundreds of airplanes into the sky just to show force or something. It could be, this will be Trump's parade. But really, I wouldn't worry about these power vacuums. This is, you know, Iran is not Iraq. It's much more stable than Iraq. There are some minority groups like the Kurds who might want to take an advantage of this to try to establish a little Kurdish state at the north of Iran. There might be other, you know, groups that might want to try to become independent. But I don't think those are significant forces. I think, I mean, the main thrust of it is, it could be that once you get a moderate figure in, the son of the Shah flies into Iran and people rally around him, again, as more of a ceremonial king who would then be a ceremonial leader, setting the country onto a path of more democracy. It really would be great if Israel just did this without Trump. Anyway, that's probably not going to happen. It looks like the U.S. is doing something. There's no question. Adam, Mark Levin read the Riot Act to Tucker Carlson. Good for Mark. The comedians today on the show, it was quite the rant. Levin is saying they aren't true MAGA. Yeah, the problem is true MAGA is no good, right? Mark Levin is no good. And he's been way too much pro-Trump, although Levin is better because Levin is at least pro-Ukraine. And he criticized Trump for the treatment of Ukraine. So Levin is mixed, but at least on foreign policy, he's not bad, right? Certainly on Russia and on Iran, Levin is good. And I'm glad he read the Riot Act. And you know, I don't know what real MAGA is. I don't like any shade of MAGA. Not any single shade of it. But if it fractures MAGA, I'm cool with fracturing MAGA. Mary Aline says, Nippon should say no and forget about the merger. They said yes, they signed the deal. Paul, will the success in Iran affect how Israel fights in Gaza to defeat Hamas? I don't think so. Very different types of war. You know, everybody on Channel 12 on Israeli news today was like, but let's not forget the hostages, and let's not forget the hostages, let's not forget the hostages. The primary objective in Gaza is to get the hostages. That's what Israeli society is committed to. And defeating Hamas is almost like in second place. And I don't think Netanyahu can escape that. Yeah, I don't see how they do any better in Gaza. Nate, did you support Trump moving U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem? I supported moving the embassy to Jerusalem. I was sad it was Trump who did it, but I support moving the embassy to Jerusalem, yes. I think it's ridiculous that most of the world does not recognize that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. That's what Israel wants. That's what it's declared. They get to decide what the capital of Israel is. That's ridiculous. So I'm glad to see that Milei promised to move the Argentinian embassy to Jerusalem. That's a good move. All right, guys. Thank you for the support. Thank you for all the super chatters. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks to, I guess, everybody else. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like the show before you leave. Share if you can, or share some of the short videos. Patreon. Show support on Patreon. You can still do stickers here. And like the show before you leave. Just press that button. It doesn't cost you anything. Helps the algorithm. See you tomorrow, probably same time. Bye, everybody. Although I might have an early show if something's going on that requires commenting on. Bye, everybody.